Looking back, I'm like, I wish I knew this so bad. How did I not see this? It would have changed so much. I need to tell other first-time moms and soon-to-be moms so that you're not caught off guard like I was and so many other moms are. It is 3 months as of yesterday, postpartum with my first baby, and oh my goodness, I've had some major updates that aren't even just circumstantially, although that is part of it with our baby now being 3 months and far more manageable versus the newborn stage. I think what's been even more game-changing, honestly, has been these like revelations I've had as a first-time mom, and now looking back, I'm like, how did I not see this? It would have changed so much. It would have made my journey so much more smooth, and I guess this is why seasoned moms generally seem less stressed. But as a first-time mom, it's like you don't even know what you don't know, and you've never gone through it, and so everything is just such a shock. It's like you literally got dropped into the deep end of the ocean, have no idea how to swim, and you're just fighting for your life. You're just like fighting to stay alive. And now it's like 3 months have gone by. I've actually kind of learned how to tread by being forced to learn. I think that's a big difference, because I was thinking about like other jobs, you know, you get put into a new job and you're drinking from a fire hose, as they say, but nothing compares to the fire hose of being a first-time parent, especially a mom, when you have all these hormones and everything's just like in flux and new. Looking back, I'm like, why did I expect myself to be able to transition from never being a mom to immediately after birth having everything come naturally and smoothly and being like a pro at juggling a bunch of things? And so that brings me to one of my revelations. I'll share more. My brain is like busting with things that I'm like, I need to make a video about this because no one's talking about it, and all these first-time moms like me are like self-sabotaging ourselves, thinking what's wrong with me, or what am I doing wrong, or is this gonna be my reality for the next like 10, 15, 20 years? When things change, like your baby changes and you change, and I already, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. This is why I'm going to keep making these videos, because I'm so grateful I'm documenting this, because looking back already at my previous videos, I'm like, first time mom, freshly postpartum Grace, so valid to have those emotions and struggles and challenges, because she didn't know any better, and now 3 months into it, I know better, and I'm like, I need to tell other first time moms and soon to be moms so that you're not caught off guard like I was and so many other moms are. So yeah, I talked about how social media gives this illusion of motherhood being easy, or you know, other babies are sleeping better than mine, or other moms seem so much happier and put together, and you know, people's lives seem so easy. Like that's just like what it looks like from the outside. And I totally understand now even more so myself, because I'm like, when you are strapped for time and energy and you just want to like focus on connecting with your baby, or like doing the dishes that need to get done, or doing your laundry that's sitting in the corner literally right now, I'm like, I'm just choosing to ignore it for now. But in the past, my previous self would be like, things need to get done, and you know, I want to do it right away. But now it's like you learn to prioritize, you learn to let go of things, and you learn to be just accept the messiness and the imperfections and things being halfway done. But yeah, on social media, it looks so glossy. It looks like, oh my gosh, their house is perfect, their chores are done, their dishes are washed, their kitchen is clean, and their baby's happy, and they're doing self-care, and they're working out, and just like all these things that make you then feel like, how come my life doesn't look like that? And I was also thinking, like, how come I didn't have this sentiment about like marriage or starting a new job? And I'm still trying to navigate and like process through that, and I would love to hear other people's thoughts too. But I think for me personally, one of the key things is I at least have heard a lot more details about why starting a new job is hard, or why your first year of marriage, what that could look like, and what are some hardships. But in terms of motherhood, for some reason, I feel like the struggles are only really shared after you become a mom. Like when you're in the mom club, and then you suddenly talk to your mom friends and you're like, wait, you guys are have all experienced this. Why did no one say it? I think there's a sense of shame, maybe perpetuated by our society, by social media, or whatever it is, to be like, I should be more put together. It's just like this perpetuating cycle of like, everyone's got it together, so I like, who am I to say I'm struggling? I don't know. I would love to hear people's thoughts. I think for me personally, another big one I found is that it's been my dream, like my whole life. I've wanted to be a mom and to be able to raise kids well, to nurture them, to love them, to just like build a bond with my kids and raise like a godly family. You know, you just like see those glorified pictures and stuff, and it just seems really nice, right? And so I've always had this as a dream. It is still my dream. It's way different than what I expected because I had no idea the details, the nuances of how difficult it can be, what to actually prepare. Again, I've talked about the lack of exposure to people's like real lives, just like close up about when it comes to parenting. Like neither me or my husband have experience with like babies, and we don't have siblings, and yeah, just like people don't talk about these things. So I think for me it's been extra challenging and extra shocking because I've had this like illusion of like, oh my goodness, parenthood was so beautiful, like I want to bask in that motherhood glow, you know, the newborn bliss that I see on social media and I hear about, and other moms are also not sharing what they're actually going through, like the details. It's hard to, I get it. Even for me, I find it hard to really describe because it's like just so much. I think for me, I've been reflecting on why has this been such a much harder transition to put it lightly, and also a shock, is because it's just such a big contrast to something I've held so highly and desired so much and care about a lot. Like I really care about being a good mom. I really want to be intentional with making sure I'm taking good care of my child and I'm not like messing her up in ways that I don't know about. And I was thinking about like the difference with like, for example, new job. Like at least a new job, you have the option to change jobs if you want, if it gets too hard, or you know, you can go at your own pace too. You don't need to necessarily like learn everything right away, but it's so much weightier and more significant when you're a mom and you're like, this baby is helpless and depends on me to survive. Everything I'm doing right now is shaping his or her life and could have long-term ramifications. There's so much more gravity and weight versus like a job. It's like, okay, it might make more money for the company, it might not. It's like less weighty and less significant and less pressure. But that's the other revelation I've also had that's lifted a ton of weight for me in the past week. And looking back, I'm like, I wish I knew this so bad. Everything I saw on social media was like, make sure you do all these activities, and parents doing these activities, these bonding exercises, these things that they say are really critical for your baby's development. I literally thought that to make sure my baby is happy and healthy, I need to literally interact with my baby all the time and do all these activities all the time. And if things aren't going the way that I see or hear on social media or that I just see on the outside, then I'm doing something wrong. And basically I feel like God just like opened my eyes, because was it early last week that I had literally a mental breakdown before I realized all of this, and I was operating under these false assumptions. But there are two things in particular last week that really cemented this for me, and now I feel so much better. And it's also probably due to my hormones finally evening out, which people also don't talk about. It takes a while to happen. It's not just the first few weeks or month of postpartum recovery. But yeah, basically I have a friend with a toddler who's so cute, and she's able to like communicate and interact with her parents so well. And I was asking her like, what did you do with her? Kind of expecting like, oh, I did XYZ every day to make sure she develops these communication skills or whatever. And to my surprise, she said literally nothing. Her toddler had actually been late to almost all the other baby milestones, and she just like naturally developed these skills on her own in her own timing. And babies are just really smart and can pick up things without you needing to follow a certain curriculum and like try so hard. Another kind of critical moment that helped me was we were going to see our baby's occupational therapist, because we'd started seeing her to help with our baby's reflux and GERD, especially in the first month and a half, basically when she was going through that phase. Like she was just crying nonstop, and I felt so scared that she was like falling behind because we just had so little time or energy to do like all these developmental activities with her. So this whole time I've been thinking, oh my goodness, she's falling behind, we need to help her catch up. What do we have to do? What are all the things we need to basically compensate for? And then at her appointment last week, the OT basically said she's doing great now. Like it looks like she's hitting everything that she's supposed to. Her temperament's also a lot better. She's growing and developing new skills, like reaching for things and developing neck control. Even though again, I saw all these reels about make sure you do tummy time this way, at least this many minutes a day, blah, blah, blah. And we literally did not do much tummy time like on the floor, basically the first 2-ish months, because again, she was just crying so often that we were just trying to soothe her, and then putting her on the floor for tummy time would make her cry. So we basically only put her over our shoulder or on our chest, like patting her, and that's where she would develop more neck control. But this whole time I was caught up being like, oh my goodness, we're not doing all the things we're supposed to be doing and we're ruining her and blah blah blah. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, I'm starting to understand that it's actually not that complicated for babies to self-develop. Like, of course, we should nurture them, soothe them, help them the best that we can. But in terms of how they grow and develop, it's actually not all on us. And we can actually relax knowing that they are going to grow and develop at their own pace. And you don't need to worry so much about doing all the social media tips that you see. And I was thinking, like, wow, what a parallel this is to pregnancy and God's grace. You know, I had such deep revelations during pregnancy, being like, oh wow, like my baby in my womb is like developing and growing all these things without me even trying or following any protocol. There's no checklist to make sure to do all these things to make sure your baby grows an arm or grows an eyelash, or you know, it just happens because God's design and grace are so perfect. And it's like, for some reason, maybe because I was in just survival mode and also lack of experience, I just didn't even think of transferring that over into babyhood and parenthood and first-time momhood. Again, I think because of the lack of dialogue around how normal these struggles are, coupled with the things I talked about with social media of like glorifying these picture perfect babies and parenthood and motherhood and all the things that you need to do. And it's just not realistic to do all those things on top of everything else. And so that's just a little tidbit. I have more thoughts on this that I'll share another time. But oh my goodness, ever since I had that revelation, things have been so much better. I no longer have this pressure that I didn't even know was false to have everything together and suddenly be a great mom as defined by what I saw on social media. And literally yesterday, I'll just end with this last anecdote. I was talking to a mom at church because I was struggling so much with trying to figure out the nap schedule thing. Like, how do you take a baby out and work around the whole like sleep nap cycle thing? I kind of touched on it on another video, but like baby sleep is so confusing when you treat it like a rule book instead of realizing that these are just tips to help you. But the reality is that it's going to be messy and unpredictable. So anyway, it was a whole struggle trying to get to church and timing everything to make sure she's awake for her baby dedication. And I turned to this mom next to me who has 2 kids now, and I just asked her straight up, like, how do you time everything to make sure your baby's not sleepy and cranky when I need her to be awake? And this mom basically explained that, oh, at this age, of course it's going to be unpredictable because this is not how things are always going to be. As they grow older, their schedule and their naps actually stabilize and become a bit more predictable. So in that sense, it gets easier to plan around that. And essentially you just kind of work backwards. I don't really fully understand the math yet, but basically she and my other mom friend was explaining to me like, yeah, I don't know if my baby will sleep or not when they're supposed to. And you kind of just have to adapt and adjust as you go. And this is a daily thing. And for me, it's like, oh, I didn't realize this chaos is normal. Before you have a baby, you can plan your schedule, you can do all these things. And I just kind of carry the subconscious expectation that if my baby isn't sleeping at certain times, I'm doing something wrong. But the reality is, no, they're babies. You can't control them at the end of the day or predict what's going to happen. Of course, you can set up certain things and methods to support and encourage certain behaviors, but at the end of the day, you really can't control what's going to happen. And it just clicked for me like, oh, this is the reality of parenthood. And it is encouraging to know that things will change as time passes and that your struggles right now are not going to be the case like for the rest of your life. Basically, your baby will grow, you will grow. Of course, there will be new challenges, but again, you're learning new skills as a parent to embrace the chaos and the unpredictability and manage all around it. But it's just unrealistic to expect that of yourself when you're literally still brand new at being a mom. So yeah, I hope this speaks to someone because I really wish I had these revelations sooner. It would have helped save so much headache and stress and anxiety. And let me know in the comments if it does speak to you, or if you have other revelations that you feel like you didn't get until you were down the road but you wish you knew when you first became a parent. Feel free to share that as well, and subscribe for more unfiltered first time motherhood content, and I'll see you guys later.